Hello everybody and welcome back to another video here on the GRIZZLY MP3 YouTube channel. I listened to 13 new albums that came out in the month of July, and we have some good ones, and on the other side we have some pretty fucking terrible ones. So without further ado, let's just answer this question. This is my first Born of Osiris album, so I cannot mention anything about their previous work, but what I do know is, what I listened to was worth a listen. Mixing together progressive metalcore and delivers a lot of atmosphere on most of their tracks on this project. But for me, I feel as if the instrumentals are the best part of the album, with these hard-hitting gent breakdowns and somewhat catchy choruses. It seems as if there's too much melodrama for me to enjoy it. Other than that, for my first Born of Osiris album, I enjoyed it. Light 6.
4-5. Niggas roll me dead, I'm still alive, that's no surprise. I'ma put that bitch right in.
I literally have nothing to say about this album besides the features are the best part. I mean, G Herbo has some good flows, but the project just has too many tracks, and Herbo isn't even on beat most of the time, and sometimes it just gets irritating. And some of the songs are just so similar that I really thought I pressed replay on the previous track. Light 3. Listen, I love rock and punk music. Some punk artists are some of my favorite musicians ever, but what the fuck? Why is there a random surge of these fake ass punk guys trying to make relatable punk music? The whole point of punk is to stand up and be you and don't let anyone tell you different, but this fucking album is one of the reasons why I hate Travis Barker. The album is too fucking loud. And the production is terrible, similar to MGK's Ticket to My Downfall, which was also produced by Travis Barker. And this guy just screams Industry Plant. I mean, look at him, the dude is such an MGK knockoff, I want to call him Water Gun Wally. The fact he was made famous off TikTok just makes me hate this album more. Strong 2.
She wanna ride that thing to the top of the pole. Throw a couple dollars, make her get it.
This album was a great experience. IDK is probably one of the most underrated rappers in my opinion, and one of the best in the DMV. IDK delivers his best album of the day, even surpassing his 2019 project Is He Real as his best project. Amazing storytelling ability on the very shocking song Hey Auntie with Slick Rick as one of the standout tracks, and throughout the whole album as well. Very unique features with the Neptune, Sway Lee, and Rico Nasty on Keto, and Everyone Belongs Here for a Reason on the entire album. T-Pain shines bright on his track, as the whole album just transitions so well into the next, and just amazing flow work from IDK, and one of the hardest songs I've heard all year, Red with Westside Gun, MF Doom, and Jay Electronica. IDK utilizes the smooth as butter production, which is seen throughout many tracks on this project. None of the songs seem like they were just added for the star power. IDK has really impressed me, and I gotta give him a light to decent 9. I just recently saw these guys at Sad Summerfest, and honestly their energy is just infectious. And I did not listen to much of their older material besides a few songs I had in my playlist before. I became a fan instantly after hearing Lovely Little Lonely and American Candy. I thought that their mix of pop punk and indie rock was such an earworm, but I didn't realize that they had dropped a new project just last month, and after I listened to it, I became an even bigger fan. This album has that infectious energy that I mentioned earlier, but up it by 2. And is one of the most catchy albums this year. Not to mention the Maine's vocals are just so floaty and wavy on this album that I'm surprised that they were the third band up in the festival. It's truly a delightful album for positive energy, and I think it will probably be in my top 10 this year. Decent to strong 8. This album I wasn't really expecting, and honestly I can't tell if I like a few select songs on the project or if I remember these tracks because the other songs on the album were just forgettable as hell. It's definitely not as well put together concept wise as Big Fish Theory, and the production is passable and a little bit questionable at certain points, but otherwise I feel as if Vince did deliver and he made an album that just sounds like an EP in my opinion. Light 6. The title of the album explains how I feel about it. Too many genres to focus on all at once, and it doesn't really have any kind of appeal to me. Really weak auto-tune that didn't really help that much, weak lyricism that is present throughout the project and just really doesn't sell me, and the best song on the album is a sad guitar beat on Patience, but the reason it sold me is because Youngblood takes up more of the song than KSI does, and Polo outshines KSI in his 20-second verse over KSI's 2-minute runtime. All the other songs I cannot even comment on, because as much as I say, the production is pretty weak. I do acknowledge KSI for taking chances to find a style, and that could be a good or a bad thing for most artists. Let's just hope that his next project will be a little bit more focused. Decent 4. I reviewed Pop Smoke's last project in a formal review about over a year ago. The album was just very split in two. One side, like most of the album, was bragging and talking about being a G, but then the next half is just more of an R&B approach. I feel like the two halves of these albums could have been split into two separate albums. And I still stand by that statement. This album is way too commercial, and it's clear that this was just a pointless cash grab of an album, something that we have been seeing too much of in the last few years. XXXTentacion's Skins and Bad Vibes Forever, and basically Lil Peep's whole discography after Come Over When You're Sober Part 2. It's clear that either the songs were not finished, or they were rushed to the point where they just sound like demos, similar to the Ski's Sin City mixtape he released not too long ago. Faith has the same criticism I had for Bad Vibes Forever. Unfinished songs with many commercial features to try to get radio time, songs that are badly produced and lack any personality, or just straight up putting out a song to pad the track list. The original album is 20 tracks long, and it doesn't help that the deluxe version is 30. It's clear that the album is a soulless cash grab, and it's just fucking disgusting to see someone like Pop Smoke, who could have had an amazing career, just have his legacy ruined. Strong 2. This album is an abomination that I can personally say is one of the worst albums I have ever listened to. The generic pop cliches, the boring production, and the worst part of it, the vocals. I don't know who the fuck decided after their smash hit Dance Monkey that this band be put in the mainstream, because what I hear is songs about nothing, terrible vocals, fake deep messages, and I'm not gonna stop about the vocals. Why is this a vocal style? It's like Jesse Reyes on Nice Guy on Eminem's Kamikaze.
You'll go back home, right?
But imagine that voice on a almost hour-long album. Who the fuck thought this was a good idea? Sounding like Squidward's fork. This album is garbage. 0. Nothing else. A 0. I think Attila is possibly one of the most overhated bands, in my opinion. Franz is one of the most gifted vocalists in metalcore, and the instrumentals are pretty good on most of the tracks, but what I see most prevalent is the douchebaggery that's on display. I usually defend Franz for being an asshole and a character because, you know, that's who he's playing as the lead vocalist in Attila, but I think that this is one of their least important to date. Nothing very standout, and it's just the generic Attila album. The party boy lyricism that they usually talk about on their albums is the most irritating I've heard besides Tones and I this year. Strong 2 to a light 3. This is a band that I hadn't even remembered about since the days of MySpace Screamo and Warped Tour, along with bands like I Wrestled a Bear Once or Never Shout Never or even Versa Emerge. And this is their first full-length project in almost 6 years, and I was pleasantly surprised. The vocals are great, the songwriting is pretty decent on some tracks, but a lot of the instrumentals were just a little lackluster, and at times, I think some of the songs were just passable. Strong 6. Why, Logic? Why? I gave you one of the best albums of 2020, even after giving it a 6, because honestly, his best project he's put out in years. And he sadly goes into retirement, never to put out music again, except Logic wasn't retiring. It's also his third worst project. And the sad part is that I can rate his worst projects better than his best. A terrible project that consists of weak trap production, questionable emo, I don't even know, maybe trying to do his best Juice WRLD impression, and the fact that it's pretty much the same throughout, especially as you go through the track list. His flow gets less and less diverse, and it feels like a lethal injection, but it takes 30 minutes for it to kick in. Definitely his third worst project, because I don't know how you can top how bad Supermarket and Confessions of a Dangerous Mind was. Decent to strong 3.